I'm Dr. Noah Manyika, and you're watching
Kitchen Copilot Cooking Club.
Last time on Kitchen Copilot Cooking Club.
In 85% of all disease, that includes heart disease, cancer, and type 2 diabetes, are food related.
Right.
So if people just learned how to cook food in their own home, we taught children how to cook, then at least when they go into a food store, they'll know what to choose.
At the basic level, what does the Kitchen Copilot app do?
What we really want to do is kind of address that need. So many people, they throw a meal together at the last moment, or they're ready to prepare a meal and they're missing an ingredient. And so people revert to things that are less healthy. It starts with the planning and then the ingredients, making sure they're there to be able to guide people and make it easier on the actual the day of the cooking.
Garlic, celery, cannellini beans. We're going to finish off with some fresh spinach. Then you're just going to rock your knife backwards and forwards. You really need a sharp knife, and it's all about repetition. It's like anything in life, repetition is the mother of skill. Now look at the color. That's You know what? I should have been a chef because that tastes pretty good.
Pretty good.
Really good.
So, Chef Mark, what do you have for us next?
Well, Melissa, we have got some Alaskan wild salmon, and we're going to pan fry that, and we're going to make a slaw to go with it. It's a sunset slaw, and so hopefully all them ingredients will go nice with this salmon.
What is the best way of cooking fish?
I would say make sure the fish is fresh.
Okay.
Try not to buy frozen. Make sure it's fresh. Make sure that you get a quality piece of fish. And then basically the day you buy it, that's the day you want to use it because you don't know how long that fish has been out of the water. So pan on the stove, it's already heating up. Salt, black pepper onto the salmon. And then we're going to add some extra virgin olive oil to our pan. And then we're just going to make sure that oil is hot because when the fish actually hits the pan, it wants to start to cook straight away, okay? Because otherwise you're poaching it then. So you should hear that sizzle. And then we're just going to put the flesh side down into the pan and we're just going to leave that. And then for our slaw, does anybody know what this is?
Jicama?
Jicama is exactly right. And the first time I came across jicama was actually when I came to America. And it's a Mexican potato. And you can eat it raw, you can roast it, you can boil it, you can do everything you could do with the potato. And it tastes a bit like a water chestnut stroke apple. So it should be nice and crisp. Okay, so that's one of the main ingredients in sunset slaw. And actually my son came up with this dish. We were sitting out on our deck one day and he said, what we're going to have for dinner? I said, well, why don't you go in the fridge, see what we've got, and you make something. And he came out with some bell peppers, some carrots, some jicama, some sun-dried tomatoes. He mixed it all together, added some cilantro, and we're sitting on the deck and the sun was setting and it was shining through the trees.
Oh,
And
sunset
all the
slaw, I
colours,
like it.
all the colours, what coming through them trees were still in the bowl. Because the sun was setting, so you had the orange and the red and the yellow, and then the brightness of the sun through the jicama, and everything just blended together. And I said, let's call this sunset slaw.
Wow.
Love it.
And that's the name of the dish. So it's
Wow.
amazing, even with your children,
Yeah.
how they can come up with dishes.
Yeah.
So in this bowl, I've got some Cajun spice, I've got some cumin, and I've got a little bit of honey I'll add as a sweetener. Then, again, on the chopping board, we've got our pepper, and again, we're just going to rock our knife backwards and forwards. And you want to actually try and anything that's going to be eaten really wants to be able to fit on a fork. Every size of the ingredient wants not to be too big. It wants to be able to fit onto that fork so it's easy to pick up. So all the ingredients really want to be cut the same size. So the fish is in the pan, that's nicely cooking. You don't want it too hot. And really the fish will take literally about 5 to 6 minutes to cook. So we've got our bell peppers in, we've got red, we've got yellow, we've got orange. Again, if you can notice, I'm just using This knuckle is a guide, and then the knife, as long as it's sharp, should cut through the ingredients. Again, that's going to roll, cut it to the size of the palm of your hand, get a flat surface, and then just cut matchsticks. And then you're just going to cut them again. Everything is going to be nice and crisp. Everything is in season. So again, you want these about the size of your fork. So you're going to cut them down. You're going to add them to your bowl. We're going to take the rest of that carrot. We're going to cut through. And again, this recipe can be found in my cookbook. It can be found on Kitchen Copilot. And the book can be bought through Amazon Prime.
What temperature do you have have you set it on?
There's no temperature control on that. You just want a medium heat. We've got a gas stove here. If it was too high, that pan would be smoking.
It would be,
If it was too
And that's
low,
how
you wouldn't be able to hear that noise.
Interesting.
So you can go by not seeing the smoke, and you can go by the noise. Okay. So cooking is basically two elements. You're either going to serve something cold or you're going to serve it hot.
Right.
Okay. So if you can control temperature, then you can become a very good chef. Okay.
That's the secret right there.
So this is the
Right.
jicama. If you want to try it,
And does it taste like a potato?
It's kind
should
of sweeter.
taste like a water chestnut.
It's actually really
It's like
good.
a cross
Stroke
between
apple.
a potato and an apple.
Yeah.
So you can.
What
I
is it
like
called
to-
again?
Jicama, but it's spelled with a J.
With a J.
J-I-C-A-M-A.
Interesting.
Jicama.
Yeah, it's really good.
I guess
This
because
tastes
it's
really
Mexican.
good.
Yeah.
It's a Mexican potato, and it's very nutritious.
Wow.
It's low in carbohydrates. So
Is it low carb?
Yep,
Oh,
compared to
that's
other
good to know.
potatoes.
Okay.
Wow.
So we've got our carrots in there. We've got our bell peppers. We've got our jicama. We're going to turn this fish over, and then we're going to cook the skin. So it should be nice and brown,
Yum.
It looks so good.
and that will take literally another 2 minutes, and we should be done. Then at the end, I'm going to finish off with some garlic and thyme and a little bit of butter. We've got some sun-dried tomatoes that we're going to add to our sunset slaw, and we're going to add a little bit of this oil
Oh,
as
nice.
well, so you're going to get that added flavor. And then we've got some cilantro as well to add to this dish. So again, we're just going to chop these through, again keeping your fingers out of the way. Pick everything up. Again, you can see my chopping board is clean. We're going to add some salt, black pepper, a little bit more oil, and then we're going to stir that together. And that's basically our slaw. And where the green leaves come into is going to be our cilantro. So we've got some fresh cilantro here. We're just going to make that into a ball, and then take the knife and rock that knife backwards and forwards. And then hand on top of the knife, bring it all together.
I always have a hard time deciding with cilantro how much do you have to take the leaf off of the stem?
Well, because I'm half Scottish and I don't give anything away, I just chop up the stem.
Chop it up right in there. Okay. And it's fine.
To me, there's no point in wasting it. You
Okay.
might as well eat it. And then look at that. Look at all of them beautiful
That's the
colours.
sunset slow.
So
So
pretty.
that's the sunset coming through the leaves of
I
the
love
trees. And then we've got some garlic. And we're just going to slice the garlic into slithers. And then we're going to add these to our salmon. And we're adding it at the end because garlic has a tendency to burn very quickly. So you just want to add it to the end. And you don't want to add too much garlic, otherwise it'll overpower the fish. Okay, so I've added some butter there. We're going to take some thyme, and we're going to add some thyme leaves. And all we're doing is basically taking off the leaves from the stem.
Do you grow your own?
I do grow basil, and I grow a number of herbs, and I'm getting more and more into gardening. And we're basically just going to baste our salmon with some of the garlic and some of the thyme. We're going to add a little bit more butter. You can smell that now.
So nice.
The heat is medium, so it's not burning the butter as well. Otherwise, if you put the butter in too early and the pan is too hot, then it's actually just going to burn and you're not going to get that flavour.
So good.
That looks
And
so.
then all we're going to do then, make sure our board is clean. Again, you can see there's nothing now on the board. We'll take a plate.
Oh, so you mean it's almost ready to serve?
It's basically
Oh
done.
my goodness. Well, you know, while you are serving, you know, Scott, one of the things that we decided to address with the Kitchen Copilot app is, you know, a lot of people find cooking to be laborious. So we're looking at this and we're like, you know, let's simplify the process. And part of what we provide on our app is access to some of these recipes, which can be simple ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And are we also asking about the nutrition too? People making those decisions. So
Right.
you're giving a hint on this fall. We're releasing the nutrition guide, so you can take any of the recipes, even the ones that someone creates themselves,
Right.
and find all the nutrients
Right.
that are available.
Exactly.
And yeah,
Oh, look at that.
Beautiful.
That is
Oh my
beautiful.
goodness.
So
Yeah.
that's basically the finished dish.
Oh, wow.
Again,
Wow.
when you think about it, that's literally taken 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
It's using all fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
Some beautiful wild caught salmon.
Yeah.
That literally took 5 minutes to cook in the pan. We finished off with a little bit of thyme, some garlic and some butter, salt and pepper, and that's all you had to do with the fish. Again, it comes down to the quality of ingredients that you're going to use. A good chef will buy the best quality ingredients and do very little.
Well, let's talk about dispelling myths. All right?
Yeah.
As the only Sicilian in the room, I go back to one of my favorite movies, Goodfellas,
Right.
and the kitchen scene.
Yeah.
Where Lisa Reno's making up the gravy,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
And he's using a razor blade and he's slicing that garlic razor thin. Chef Mark,
Yeah.
is that a fallacy or is that true?
It's like using a razor is really going to get it razor thin, but if a professional chef would probably use a mandolin because that's got basically the same
Right.
razor sharpness. But yeah, you know, it depends.
Well,
how-
I mean,
how-
they were under house arrest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The only thing you had was a razor. You know.
You only have so many tools. in the
But
kitchen.
does it make? I guess the point that I was getting up,
Yes.
jesting. Would that make a difference in the flavor of the food, depending on how thin you slice that garlic?
One thing, it's going to cook a lot quicker.
Okay.
So depend on the heat of that pan, it's either going to be crispy or it's going to be soggy. But it's going to cook quicker than something that's little bit thicker.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, Mark, I love what you posted on Instagram. I was reading this the other day. I wrote it down. No matter your age, you will always wish you started younger, but today is the youngest you will ever be again. So I guess it's never too late to start eating
Yeah,
right or learning how to cook.
Exactly. A friend of mine, what did he say? He said, I've seen more yesterdays than I will see tomorrows. So there's no point in putting off anything. Starting an app, starting a business, starting a friendship, just do it.
Right, exactly. Just do it.
You don't need to overthink
Just-
things.
exactly.
Just actually do it.
I've been following your LinkedIn posts. I know other people follow the Instagram ones. And you have amazing pictures. They look so good, but your focus on the single ingredient.
Yeah.
I love that.
This jicama to me is a one ingredient food. It hasn't got any additives, preservatives or colorants in. So it's a natural food. Obviously it's been processed somewhere along the line because somebody's had to grow it, somebody's had to harvest it, somebody's had to package it. But there's nothing being added to it. And if you can afford organic, buy organic. But if you can't, still buy convenience vegetables and fruits. Because you're getting more nutrition out of that convenience product than you'll ever get out of a supplement.
Can you eat that with the skin on?
I have never tried it, but I suppose if you wash it and make sure that anything that it was sprayed with is gone, you could give it a try. So I think there's a lot to be said about your diet and the foods that you eat. Salmon is the most popular fish to eat in the world, and about 70% of all fish that are sold is salmon.
Really?
But again, you've got to choose the salmon that you're going to put into your body.
And quick question. So this is wild caught.
Yeah,
Now, is it better to buy that to farm-raised fish?
it depends. I actually used to work for a seafood company, and all our fish were farm raised in Panama, Indonesia, and Brazil. But by far, it was the quality of that fish was absolutely amazing, and I would still say to this day it was the best fish I've eaten. It was a yellowtail fish, and the reason why it was so high quality was because we were the only company at the time that were actually farming fish 20 mile offshore in a depth of 1,000 feet. So apart from that net around the fish, it was basically as if the fish were in the wild.
Wow.
And then the feed was high quality feed that they were given. So again, sometimes when you're catching wild caught fish, you've got to remember that some of this fish has parasites. And also one of the biggest problems we've got now is a lot of fish has microplastics in it. Because wild fish are swimming in this ocean that is now full of plastic bottles and plastics. And that's the other thing you've got to think of. So in reality, wild fish is great, but also some farm raised fish, as long as they're following high quality standards, the fish will be amazing. It comes down to going to a dealer that has got a good reputation, because even with fish, how do you know that fish hasn't been frozen? How do you know it's fresh? How do you know it's actually the right species that it's got on? Is it cod? Is it halibut? Is it salmon? Okay, so you've really got to buy from a really good dealer and not somebody on the back street. So again, it comes down to going somewhere of high quality. And now we'll move on to the next dish.
Yes, sir. Let's move on to the next dish.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so this was simple, right? This was quick and yeah.
Yeah, if you can, recycle them.
Yeah, you don't break them.
Because that's where you're going to get the next dish.